The story opens deep in an alien jungle on a distant world. Strange lights flicker behind the trees. The air vibrates like something huge is moving nearby. A lone human, Evan Ward, a soldier stranded after a crash, is trying to survive. He has no advanced tech, only his instincts, old training, and a knife. Suddenly he hears a scream, not a human scream. Something powerful, royal, and terrified. Evan moves toward the sound even though he knows he should run. The ground shakes. Something gigantic roars. Through the trees he sees her. A wounded alien queen, glowing armor cracked, surrounded by hostile creatures. Her guards are dead. She is seconds away from being torn apart. Evan knows she is not human. She might even be dangerous, but he also sees fear in her eyes. He steps out from hiding. A primitive human with a simple knife, facing monsters 3 times his size. What he does next will change the galaxy. The jungle was silent in a way that felt wrong. Even the wind seemed afraid to move. Evan Ward, the lone human survivor of the crash, pushed aside thick leaves as he moved through the shadows. His uniform was torn, his gear was damaged, and he carried only a small knife and a fading hope of rescue. But something else was in this jungle with him. He felt it. He heard it. He knew it. A low rumble rose from deep within the trees like a giant beast breathing. Evan froze and listened. Then he heard another sound, sharp and desperate. A cry, a scream. Not human. It came again, louder, filled with pain and fear. Evan should have walked away. He was injured, alone, and surrounded by an alien world he did not understand. But his instincts refused to ignore that cry. Someone needed help. Someone was dying. He stepped forward quietly, blade in hand, moving toward the danger. The air grew thick with mist. Strange glowing plants lit the path. The scream came one last time, then suddenly stopped. Evan pushed through the final wall of vines and saw her. An alien queen, her armor cracked and glowing weakly, lay on the ground. Around her stood huge reptile-like creatures, their teeth dripping, their eyes locked on their royal prey. Her guards were already dead. Evan's heart raced. He was only a primitive human with a simple knife, but she looked at him with fear and hope, and that was enough for him to make his choice. Evan did not move at first. The alien queen was breathing hard, trying to rise, but her legs were shaking. The reptile creatures circled her, waiting for the final moment. Their claws dug into the ground. Their bodies twitched with hunger. One creature hissed and stepped closer to her. Evan reacted without thinking. He grabbed a rock and threw it as hard as he could. It hit the creature's head with a loud crack. All the creatures turned toward him at once, their eyes narrowing, their jaws opening in slow, deadly anger. Evan felt fear crawl up his spine, but he didn't step back. "Come on," he whispered to himself. "Let's dance." The first creature lunged. Evan dodged to the side, sliding across the wet ground. He slashed with his knife, cutting the creature's leg. It screamed and fell, thrashing wildly. The second creature charged. Evan rolled under its body and stabbed upward, hitting a weak spot near its ribs. It collapsed with a heavy thud. The queen watched in shock. No human should fight like this. No primitive species should move so fast or strike so smart. The last creature growled, confused by this unexpected threat. Evan picked up a broken branch and used it like a spear. With one quick move, he drove it into the creature's throat. Silence returned to the jungle. Evan stood there, breathing hard, blood on his hands, sweat on his face. The alien queen stared at him, wide-eyed, stunned, and alive. He stepped toward her slowly. "You're safe now," he said, but above them, something beeped. Her damaged armor was sending a life signal. Someone out there now knew she was alive, and they were coming. Part 3 will escalate from here. The beeping from the queen's armor grew louder. Evan looked up at the sky through the thick jungle leaves. A faint red light blinked from a broken device on her shoulder. It was sending a signal far, far into space. The queen tried to speak, but her voice was weak. "They will come," she whispered. Evan knelt beside her. "Your people?" She nodded slowly. "My king, my guards, my army. They will follow this signal." She paused, eyes filled with worry. "They will not expect you," Evan understood. If her people arrived and saw him standing over the wounded queen, they might think he attacked her. He could be captured or killed before he even explained, but he stayed calm. "I didn't save you to abandon you," he said. Far above the jungle, in the dark cold of space, a huge royal flagship received the emergency alert. The alien king stood tall as the hologram appeared. Queen life signal detected. Status, critical. The king's hands tightened. His voice shook with rage and fear. "Find her," he ordered. "Bring her home." Then the next report arrived and shocked him. Unidentified human presence detected near the queen. The king's eyes narrowed. A human? In his empire, humans were considered weak, harmless, primitive. How could one be near his queen? He slammed his hand on the console. "Deploy elite soldiers. Capture the human alive. I want answers." Back in the jungle, Evan lifted the queen gently. He heard engines roaring in the sky. "They're coming," she whispered. And neither of them knew if they were coming as rescuers or as executioners. Evan heard the engines long before he saw anything. The sound was deep and heavy, like thunder rolling across the sky. The queen lifted her head weakly and stared upward. "They are here," she said softly. "My king's soldiers." Evan looked around the jungle. Bright shafts of light cut through the clouds as alien ships descended. The air trembled. Leaves shook. Birds scattered in fear. He knew they had only minutes. "Can you walk?" he asked. The queen tried to stand but almost fell. Evan caught her quickly and placed her arm over his shoulder. "I will help you, but we need to move now." They stepped into the dense jungle, moving slowly but carefully. The queen's armor sparked with each step, sending tiny flashes of light. Evan covered it with broken leaves and mud to hide the glow. Behind them, alien troops landed, silent, disciplined, and deadly. They scanned the area with glowing devices. A soldier spoke through a translator. "Queen's signal is fresh. Spread out. The human is near." Evan heard the words echo through the trees. The queen stiffened. "They will not trust you," she whispered. "My king believes humans are simple." Evan gave a small smile. "Good. Then they won't expect me to be smart." He guided her through a narrow path between roots and vines. Huge alien plants lit the way with blue and purple light. Every step was slow, careful, tense. Suddenly, Evan froze. In the mud ahead was a clear footprint, not his own. Not the queen's. A heavy armored alien soldier had already walked this path. They were not just searching, they were closing in. Evan stared at the footprint in the mud. It was deep, heavy, fresh. The queen saw it too. Her eyes widened with fear. "They are tracking us," she whispered. Evan looked around the thick jungle. The air felt tighter. Every leaf seemed to hide danger. The alien soldiers were not wandering. They were following a clear trail. His trail. "We need to change direction," Evan said softly. He guided the queen off the main path, slipping between tall roots and strange glowing plants. The jungle was loud now. Buzzing insects, distant animal cries, and the hum of scanners searching for them. The queen struggled to walk, breathing hard. Evan helped her sit beside a fallen tree. "You rest for 1 minute," he said. "I'll hide our tracks." He moved quickly, brushing leaves over their footprints, breaking branches on false paths, and covering marks with mud. Years of survival training were finally useful on an alien world. When he returned, the queen watched him quietly. "You think like a hunter," she said. "Humans learn fast," Evan replied. A sudden roar echoed through the jungle. Something big was moving nearby. Not soldiers. Something wilder. Evan helped the queen stand again. They continued deeper into the unknown, stepping through vines that glowed with soft blue light. Strange creatures watched them from the shadows. Every moment grew more dangerous. Behind them, alien soldiers reached the footprint Evan had seen earlier. One soldier touched the mud and scanned it. "He is close," the soldier said. "The human adapts too well." The hunt was tightening and the jungle itself was turning against them. The jungle grew darker as Evan and the queen moved forward. The glowing plants around them slowly faded, replaced by tall, shadowy trees that blocked the sky. The queen's steps were weaker now, and every breath she took sounded painful. Evan held her arm gently. "Stay with me. Just a little more." Behind them, the sound of armored footsteps grew louder. Branches snapped. Metal scraped against stone. The alien soldiers were close, too close. Suddenly, a blue scanning beam cut through the trees. Evan pulled the queen down behind a huge root. The light passed only a few feet away before sliding across the jungle floor, searching for movement. The queen whispered, "They will catch us. You should run." Evan shook his head firmly. "Not happening." A loud mechanical click echoed from above. Evan looked up and saw a drone hovering overhead. Its blue eye flickered as it scanned the area. Evan grabbed a handful of dirt and leaves and smashed them over the Queen's glowing armor, covering its heat signature. Then he pressed himself flat against the ground. The drone drifted, paused, and moved on. The Queen stared at him in surprise. "You protect me, even now." "That was the plan," Evan replied softly. Before she could answer, a rustling sound came from their right. A tall alien soldier stepped out from the bushes, weapon aimed directly at them. Evan reacted instantly. He pushed the Queen behind a tree and swung his knife, hitting the soldier's wrist. The weapon dropped. The soldier roared and charged. Evan fought with everything he had, quick strikes, fast dodges, using the environment like a shield. He finally brought the soldier down by slamming him into a sharp tree root. But during the struggle, Evan was cut across the side. The Queen gasped when she saw the blood. Evan tried to stand but stumbled, breathing heavily. More soldiers were moving toward them, fast. The Queen looked at Evan, this primitive human who fought armies for her, and fear filled her eyes. Evan, they will not stop. And now Evan was hurt. The next minutes would decide both their fates. Evan leaned against a tree, pressing a hand over his bleeding side. The Queen stepped closer, worry on her face. She tried to help him stand, but he pushed gently. "I'm fine," he whispered, even though he clearly wasn't. The jungle suddenly fell silent. No birds, no wind, no movement. A deep rumble filled the air, strong enough to shake the ground beneath their feet. The Queen looked up with fear. "He is here," she said. A massive shadow passed overhead. Through the gaps in the trees, Evan saw the shape of a colossal ship descending. Its engines glowed with bright gold light. The trees bent under the force of its landing. This wasn't a normal rescue ship. This was the King's flagship. Alien soldiers dropped from the sky in perfect formation. Their armor was heavier, their weapons larger, their movements sharper. These were elite warriors, loyal only to the King. Evan grabbed the Queen's arm. "We need to go, now." But it was too late. A loud voice echoed across the jungle through speakers. "Queen Seralis, step forward." The Queen froze. That voice, she knew it too well. From the center of the landing zone, a tall armored figure stepped out. His presence was powerful, royal, impossible to ignore. The alien king had arrived. His eyes immediately found the Queen. Relief flickered across his face, but it vanished the moment he saw the injured human standing beside her. The soldiers raised their weapons instantly. The king pointed at Evan. "Capture the human," he ordered. "He stands too close to my Queen." The Queen gasped and moved in front of Evan, blocking the soldiers. "Stop," she shouted. "He saved my life." The entire jungle went silent. For the first time in her royal life, the Queen had defied her king. The soldiers froze the moment the Queen stepped in front of Evan. No one dared move. No one dared breathe. The alien king stared at her, shocked. Never in his life had his Queen raised her voice against him. Never had she protected someone else, especially a human. "Seralis," the king said slowly, "step aside. That creature is dangerous." The Queen shook her head. Her armor flickered, her breathing weak, but her voice stayed strong. "He is not dangerous. He is brave. He saved me when my guards died." She looked at Evan, then back at her king. "He risked his life again and again. He is the reason I stand here at all." The soldiers looked at each other, confused. A human had saved their Queen? That sounded impossible. The king's eyes narrowed. A human? With a knife? Against those beasts? He almost laughed, but the Queen's serious expression stopped him. "He fought like a warrior," she said. "Not like a primitive." Evan stepped forward despite his injury. He kept his hands open to show he wasn't a threat. "I didn't mean disrespect," he said calmly. "I only helped someone who needed help." The king studied him carefully. The human was clearly wounded. Yet he stood tall, steady, unafraid. The king spoke to his soldiers. "You all saw the trail. You saw the bodies of the beasts. This human did what trained soldiers failed to do." The soldiers lowered their rifles slowly, but the king wasn't finished. He stepped closer to Evan, his voice deep and sharp. "If you are truly this strong, then prove it." Evan frowned. "Prove it how?" The king pointed to a circular ritual ground beside the ship. glowing with ancient symbols. A test, he said, a trial of courage, a challenge only warriors survive. The queen's eyes widened with fear. No, he is hurt. He cannot fight. But the king ignored her. Human, he said, show me your strength. The fate of the story now balanced on Evan's answer. The circle of ancient symbols glowed brighter as the king stepped aside, giving Evan space. The jungle around them went quiet again, as if the whole world was waiting for Evan's answer. Evan wiped the blood from his side and took a slow breath. He looked at the queen. Her face showed fear, and something more, trust. If I refuse, Evan asked calmly, what happens? The king did not hesitate. Then you are judged as weak, and the weak do not walk away. Evan understood. This was not only a test, it was a warning. The queen stepped toward him, grabbing his arm. Evan, you don't need to do this. You saved me. You have already proven everything. Evan gave her a faint smile. Maybe, but your king needs to see it with his own eyes. He stepped into the circle, the ground lit up under his feet. The symbols glowed a deep gold. Soldiers formed a ring around the arena, watching silently. The king stood tall, arms crossed, eyes sharp. A heavy metallic gate rose from the jungle floor. Behind it something roared, a deep, powerful roar that shook the trees. The queen's face turned pale. No, she whispered. He chose the trial beast. The gate opened. A massive creature stepped out. 4 legs, armored skin, glowing eyes, and claws like knives. It was twice Evan's size, trained to fight warriors. And kill them. The king spoke loudly. Survive. That is your trial. The beast charged forward, the ground shaking under each step. Evan tightened his grip on his knife. His heart raced. His vision sharpened. He had no armor. No weapon except steel and instinct. No special abilities, but he had something the beast didn't. Human will. As the creature lunged, jaws wide open, Evan moved. The real fight began. The trial beast crashed toward Evan, its claws digging deep into the ground. Each step made the earth shake. Soldiers watched in silence. The king stood like a stone statue. The queen held her breath, her hands trembling. Evan waited. Waited, timing every movement. At the last second, he jumped aside. The beast's jaws snapped shut inches from his face. Its breath was hot and smelled like blood. Evan hit the ground, rolled, and came back to his feet. The beast turned and roared so loud the leaves shook. Evan held his knife tight. One chance, he whispered. Make it count. The beast charged again. But this time, Evan ran toward it. The soldiers gasped. Evan slid under the beast's sweeping claws and stabbed upward into the softer skin under its neck. The beast screamed, twisting wildly. Evan was thrown across the arena, hitting the ground hard. His vision blurred. His body hurt. But he stood again. The queen's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, please, don't fall. The beast stumbled, weakened but furious. It charged one more time. Fast, desperate. Evan grabbed a broken piece of stone from the arena floor and hurled it at the beast's eye. It struck perfectly. The creature roared in pain, rearing up on its back legs. Evan didn't hesitate. He ran forward and drove his knife deep into its chest. The beast collapsed. Silence. Complete silence. Then the king stepped forward. He looked at Evan for a long moment. Then slowly lowered his head. No human should survive this trial, he said. But you did. You fought with courage, intelligence, and heart. He turned to his soldiers. Evan Ward is no longer a primitive. He is an ally of the crown. The soldiers bowed. The queen rushed to Evan, helping him stand. Her voice was soft, filled with emotion. You changed everything, she whispered. You saved me. And now you changed my king. Evan smiled weakly, just doing what felt right. Far above them, the sky shimmered. A new signal flashed, one from a distant enemy watching silently, preparing for the future. The queen looked at the sky with worry. This is not the end, she said. A greater danger is coming. Evan tightened his grip on his knife. Then we face it together. The story ends, but the legend of the human who defied a kingdom is only beginning.